Welcome to QA Q&A. I am your host Shweta, and in today's episode we'll be having an insightful discussion on usability testing with our guest Ajay Balamurgadas, Senior Director QE at G-Span Technologies. Ajay 184F, as he's known in the testing industry, is a software tester, mentor, presenter, and workshop leader. Ajay started testing desktop apps and soon moved on to web and mobile applications. His journey was boosted by co founding Weekend Testing, Testing Maniac, and collaboration with the Test Tribe community. He's the author of several short books which are popular with other testers for their practical and ready to use tips. Ajay is also the recipient of several awards, mainly known as the best speaker in the conference. Welcome to the show, Ajay.
Hello Shweta, and hello everyone. Thank you for having me here.
It's a pleasure to have you. How have you been doing?
Good, on time, and super excited for what's in store.
So that's certainly a good start.
Yes.
Okay, so with that, let's dive into our first question. How would you define usability and state some of its principles?
Uh, Usability, in simple terms, the ability to use, right? That's usability, use plus ability. It is one of the quality attributes, right? Like we all know that functionality, performance, scalability, and all of that. So usability is one such quality criterion, which is so important and unfortunately sometimes neglected. So if I were to define usability, I would say the ease of doing things, how easy it is to do things. And if you talk about principles, I can recollect Jacob Nielsen's 10 principles, wherein he says, can you, how quickly you can learn about the system, how easy it is to learn, do you prevent the user from making errors, and even if the user is about to make an error, do you give them hints that, hey, you know what, this is what we need, you're typing this, and things like that. um, do you let the user know about the state of the system? Many a times
Mhm.
we keep hearing things like, I press the button, I tap the button, and I don't know what happened. So the user is unaware of the system state, which is one of the key principles that, hey, keep the user informed of what the system is trying to do. And if there is a delay, show a progress bar, right? So that way, there are multiple principles. So to summarize, maybe we can focus on, say, learnability, memorability, and then error prevention, and then finally in terms of you can also talk about how easy, or once you have learned it, how efficient can you be. So
Hmm.
efficiency, so these are some of the principles, I would say.
Okay, thank you. And usability is also often associated with the terms UX and UI. Can you elaborate on those lines?
So UI is user interface, all your buttons, toggles, switches, drop downs, all sliders and all of that. The UI elements form the UI part, the user interface part. And the UX is user experience. How do you feel completing a certain task, right? And
Hmm.
where does usability come in is in in the book, The Design of Everyday Things. I read a wonderful line. Usability is something that will help the user move from frustration to pleasure. So usability is the bridge between frustration and pleasure. Bad usability, frustrated users. Great usability, users are delighted users. So when people say, hey, usability, UI, UX, everything is the same, it's not. UI is what you see. User experience is how you feel. Usability is how easily you can interact with these elements. So there is a big difference. They are, you can say that they are different components. They are interrelated to give you the final delight for the user. You interact with the UI elements. How easily can you interact? That is defined by usability. And the overall experience, that is user experience. So there are three different terms and yet interrelated.
Beautifully said, Ajay.
Thank
And
you.
so when and how is usability testing, embedded in the life cycle of the product?
Uh, Wish everyone started it right when we think about the product. That's a great place to start. Unfortunately, many times people say usability is easy, right? It's just some buttons, some color, some clicks here and there. We can do after later. If people complain, then we can think about it. But it's not that. Usability, just like any other quality criteria, performance, security, you need to start thinking right from the word go, right from when you have thought about that product. Why? It because usability is, as I mentioned earlier, usability is not just the screen. It is everything to do with the experience. Now, without that experience in mind, without understanding the user's context, without understanding why we are doing what we are doing, and how
Hmm.
it will fit in the bigger picture, you'll not be able to change the design. And then what happens if you start late is people will say, hey, we have already spent so much time building this, try changing this design. It'll be like patchwork. And if
Hmm.
you want to avoid patchwork and if you want to have a great product, start early, start mindfully, and interact with the users, get the real users, work with them, test, show your product or prototype to them, get their feedback, and then build it. And I want to add one more point here. One of my friends, also highlighted that, hey, what about usability for enterprise products? And I was like,
Hmm.
good. That's a totally different ball game. But at the same time, there are users. So start as early as possible.
Okay. I would vouch for that tip anytime, in regardless of any of the testing types, to be honest. And what kind of heuristics would you use in usability testing?
So, see, trying to remember multiple heuristics is a challenge in itself. Like, for example, I try to remember the 10 heuristics of Jacob Nielsen, and then
Hmm.
maybe I'll remember three or four. That's where we need to use tools, being smart. So, there is a browser extension called UX Check, which
Hmm.
lists out all the 10 heuristics of Jacob Nielsen. And you can use that in your while you're testing your application, and then say, hey, you know what, visibility of the system state, is this screen anywhere, do I find that the system state is not visible to the user? Oh, it's not, file a bug, link it, right? Error
Hmm.
prevention is the next check, I mean the heuristic in that list of 10, right? So that way there is a UX check, the
Hmm.
browser extension that can be used. The other heuristics, which is like a fallible way of solving a problem, what I use is I try to approach every product as a totally new user. Hey, what is this? What are we trying to do? What's the use case? Why do we need this product? Right? And ask questions, and don't listen to people who say this is how you need to do it. No, I'll not
Hmm.
listen to how it needs to be done. I will do it the way I want it to. I want to do, right. I will do it my way. If I'm not able to do, that's not my problem. That's the application's problem.
Absolutely.
That one heuristic, that foundational heuristic, I would say, is the success of great products. The user is never wrong. Hey, the user doesn't know even this thing. No, it's your fault. You did not educate. You made it so difficult that every time the user is trying to use your application, the recall factor is so less. Whose fault? It's always the app's fault. As Jonathan Cole says in his book, Testing Mobile Apps, he says it's always the app's fault. And I can relate it to the usability. It's always the application's fault.
Wonderful. I'm loving these references that you're making to these books in parallel. And on similar lines, so you mentioned that user interface is what the user sees, whereas user experience is what a user feels. So, how do you effectively measure usability? Because then feeling might mean different to different people.
True, true. So when you do the usability testing, how is it usually done? Is you have a prototype or an application, you bring in some real users, you give them tasks. Hey, you know what? Can you attend a meeting in StreamYard, for example, right? So that is a task. And then you see how well they are able to do it, and then how much time did they take to complete it. So you measure by the number of tasks they completed and the time they took to complete, right? Hey, 5 users took 5 minutes to complete this task, whereas this 3 users took like 15 minutes to complete this task, something like that, right? That is one way to measure. I am okay with that method of measuring, but at the same time, I want to discuss with those users.
Hmm.
Maybe they have seen it before. Maybe they have
Hmm.
seen something similar before. Maybe they have seen it, but they don't remember that they have seen it. Maybe this screen primed them, and then they remembered something, right? So when you interviewed them, like, are they the right users, they would have filled a questionnaire or answered your questions, and they would said, oh, I've never used a streaming app like, StreamYard. And you will say, oh, this user is a beginner, and this beginner user took 5 minutes. That's how you will judge and say, oh,
Hmm.
beginner users can complete in 5 minutes, and so we are good with this product and all of that. But unless you discuss, it will be very difficult to understand their thought process. And many a
Hmm.
times, people are unable to express their thoughts in written or oral form unless you probe them well. And
Hmm.
thereby, can you measure ideas? Can you measure love? No. Can you measure feelings? No. And thereby, usability testing is also, I mean, the measure of usability is also, I feel, very difficult, but not impossible. Build on it, build on those qualitative measures.
Again, I would say a very useful tip for the audience where you are saying go and further probe the usability test results that you have found out. Probably the samples are different, the
True.
environment is different, right? So again, that is such a brilliant tip. Thank you. And what would be some myths in usability?
Someone has done a great job. They have a website called uxmyths.com,
Oh, okay.
and close to 34 myths listed there.
Okay.
So while everyone can go there and read, let me list out or highlight two or three usual myths which I had in my mind before going through that website. Is usability testing is so easy.
Okay.
Uh,
Testing is
anyone
so
has done
easy,
it.
isn't it?
Right. Testing is easy, and in that, automation is difficult, and then functional is easy, usability is easiest. Right? So it's
Okay.
not. Uh, that is one myth, for the simple reason that you are not able to maybe put out in numbers the feeling part, the usability part, and all of that. That is one. The other thing is, if you have a great UI,
Hmm.
90% of your work is done. It's not,
Hmm.
because we
Hmm.
saw UI, UX, usability, or rather UI, usability, and then UX, right? So
Hmm.
these three things, right? So, and this can be done only by designers. No, anyone with an attention to detail, right, with
Hmm.
a keen eye for details, anyone who has empathy, anyone who
Hmm.
can understand the pain points of the user, and anyone who is really interested in it can do it. And it's not just for designers. Hey, I have done my functional testing, give it over to the designers or the UX testers who will click here and there and all of that. No, it's not. And things like, uh, if you take more than 3 clicks, that
Hmm.
means, or if you scroll for more than 3 pages, then that's not right. We should minimize the clicks. No, as long as you keep me engaged as a user, I'll be happy to do 100 clicks, right? You need to keep me engaged. You need to make me click. Like, hey, what is
Hmm.
that? What is that surprise? Oh, I'll click there. Oh, wow. Oh, nice. I like it. I love it. Oh, yeah, I never realized it. You need to make me feel that. You need to make me live in that moment. But many websites, unfortunately, they're like, this is the info. You want, take it. If not, okay, fine, lose it. We are okay to lose it, right? So that's some of the myths.
I would call this, tip of the episode, Ajay, that keep your users engaged. Wonderful, brilliant tip to incorporate usability. And on similar lines, so what skills are needed to be an effective usability tester?
First, be good at testing. And once you're good at testing, which is again the common skills, questioning, note taking, being organized, uh, have the courage to say the truth, experiment, all of that for core skills of a good tester. See, I'm not told
Hmm.
automation. Quick learning and being able to use tools as appropriate is a tester part. Then the usability tester part is empathy.
Hmm.
Boss, this is how I've designed. You want to use? No. Hey, what is that pain point? Why is the user even coming to this website or our application? What are they trying
Hmm.
to do? Why are they trying to do? In which context are they trying to do? Trying to
Hmm.
understand the user. For
Hmm.
example, an app for someone who is trying to report a missing person. Okay, one of relatives is missing or something like that, the state of mind is very different. They're not going to use the app like a movie show booking app. They're worried. They are restless. They are like they are afraid. They don't know what will happen, right? So at that moment, you can't say, can you give me a 5-star rating if you like the app? That means you have not understood the emotional state of the user, right? So understanding the emotional state of the user, understanding why they need it, empathy, and then of course knowledge of the different heuristics, knowledge of the different applications. Hey, can I do this better? A little sense, a little design sense will help, right? We see so many presentations wherein people have the text put in on the slide and then forget formatting and all of that. Center align, balance, contrast, uh, and then yeah. So some of these things, if you like it, if you are interested in this, then I think these skills will help you become a great usability tester.
Yeah, but I think, operating with empathy has to be the topmost skill.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. Is usability the same as accessibility? And if not, how do they differ?
So there is this wonderful person called Karthi Subramanian, who runs design workshops.
Hmm.
So I read a blog from her which said universal design versus accessible design. Accessible design, maybe maybe my summary might be wrong, but what she was trying to get is a design. Accessible design is a design to help or to to help those users with challenges. A
Hmm.
universal design is, it is available, it helps everyone,
Hmm.
and when it helps everyone, even those folks with challenges will be able to use it.
Hmm.
So usability the same as accessibility? See, accessibility is a quality criteria to design products or to build products in a way that people with challenges are able to use it. But if you design products which is usable by everyone and anyone, then this accessible folks, or the folks that who need accessibility features the most, they form a subset of the entire set of users, right?
Hmm.
So it is different. At the same time, they are related as well, right? You build for every
Agreed.
kind of user, right? So that way.
Agreed. Agreed. And I am sure, people would love that. Why don't you just consider us in the bigger umbrella and design for us rather than focusing too much on us? So I'm with you on that. That
Right.
accessibility
When
is a
you use,
subset of usability.
correct. Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. And you've given us such beautiful insights, but some insights or probably some learning for our beginners as well. How does our audience start learning about usability and the related testing?
Use apps, use the
Okay.
applications. And when you use, observe, make notes. What did you like? What you did not like? And then once you have this list, hey, I like this, I don't like this, then go and find out, is there a term for it? Progressive disclosure. Not showing
Hmm.
everything at once, but slowly taking the user to the next steps. Oh, that is called as progressive disclosure, right? So now you are slowly learning the terms. Don't jump into learning the terms first. Oh, this is Hicks law, this is Miller's law, this is progressive disclosure. You're not able to connect, right? So use the apps. You become that user. You show that frustration. Oh, this angers me. This frustrates me. Oh, I love it, right? Once you get that emotions, rather than, acha, I have to read usability testing. Okay, let me. That will not work, right? So be that user, then learn the principles, heuristics, mistakes. Create that mind map, create that landscape of, okay, next 2 years I'm going to learn about usability. Get a mentor, get a workshop, attend a workshop, get a course, like the 3 days, right? Anywhere you get good knowledge, grasp it. But then again, go ahead and apply it. And it applies not
Correct.
just for usability, right? For anything. If you are a good learner, if you know how to learn, if you learn how to learn, you can learn
Hmm.
anything. Usability, one more topic.
Right. So that was actually that's similar to my last question, and which would be, what would be your three top tips for aspiring testers in the community?
Aspiring testers. One part of the brain says, here is James' letter to the new tester. Here is Pradeep Soundarajan's blog where it says 100 questions in 20 minutes. There is 20 days of syllabus for created by me and Rahul. All this one side, right? Like we have already written about that. The other side says, okay, if I were to start my testing journey today, what would I want?
Hmm.
I need, there is a lot of resources. One thing that will help me a lot is, folks, practice.
Hmm.
Practice testing. Okay, Ajay, I practice testing, but I don't get feedback. I don't know how to ask for feedback. I don't know if I'm doing well or not. So you need an
Hmm.
accountability partner.
Hmm.
Where do I find accountability partner? I don't know anyone outside my testing. Testing teams in the company. That's biggest mistake. Work with communities,
Hmm.
right? And fourth, learn to break rules, just like I broke now. Shweta asked for three, I broke it. Right. So learn to break rules, and then you will see, then you will see what is possible and what is not. What is the limit? Don't limit yourself. Go ahead. And once you do this, practice, you have a accountability partner and you're part of communities, your network grows, and then you start breaking rules, you know what to do and what not to do. There is no checklist that will say, do this, you will get 18% hike in 1 year. No, there's no checklist. And so it's all about context.
Okay, okay, interesting. So, from learning about usability to breaking rules, we've come to the end of this episode of QA Q&A, and thank you everybody for joining us. We hope you enjoyed our discussion about usability testing, and we are extremely grateful to Ajay for sharing their expertise and insights with us. And I hope you were able to take away some valuable insights. We appreciate your support and feedback. And if you have any questions, don't forget to mention your queries below the video, and we'll try to best answer everyone. And for more QA content, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We look forward to hearing from you and bringing you more engaging and insightful content on quality and testing in the future. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on QA Q&A.